Well, hello there, humans and earthlings, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to. I'm Bushka on Blitz, and today is a return of the 3 in a row style of tank review, or tank refresh. I'm going to do one with the Type 61, I'm going to do another one with the M103, and I'm going to do another one with the T32. I might even extend the M103, because it was quite interesting when I played that. Rather than butcher the name, I'm just going to say this this review of the Type 61 Reduxe goes out to my good mate Daniel. He's been desperate for this for a long time. So rather than go, completely in depth, I'm going to talk about this tank and what I actually came up with after playing it for a bit. And I decided the fair way of doing it would be to just take 3 games, play it for 3 games. I've only got the first row of spare parts equipment stuff on the tank itself. If I was going to equip it, by the way, I'll let you know exactly what I'd run with it. I would run the gun rammer, I'd run the protected modules, the improved optics, the supercharge, the enhanced armor, the engine accelerator. It's got pretty solid traverse already. Vertical stabilizer, then the toolbox, and the high-end consumables after that. That's just my thought. That's the armor profile. If you're firing at it from the Tier 5 Chaffee autoloader, and everything's green. So we don't need to muck around too much there with the armor profile. It's drastically bad, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't like the tank in the first place. When I did my first review a long time ago when I was on holidays with Junior up at Cabarita Beach. Junior's been off school today, so he was actually with me while I was doing this gameplay, so that's pretty funny. I have a couple of issues with it, namely the gun mantlet does next to nothing. Secondly, the already incredibly weak turret has a huge bugger off bulbous tumour on the top right hand side of the turret that is even weaker than the already weak turret. So it makes the tank incredibly difficult to play as any form of go-to tank on the front line. You can't pretend with it. And that used to be a bigger issue when you were dealing with a lot of mediums that could do that at this tier. The Cent 7-1 can certainly go hull down and bounce shots. The T54 can 100% do that. And the E50 was also a much stronger armor profile than this tank. Now, the game's changed a bit. And this tank has actually picked up a few bits and pieces along the way. Its penetration values are now rather good. 245mm is very good at this tier compared to, say, the M46 Patton and the E50 and the T54 and the T54E1. It lacks behind the PTR and the 701, which both run the L7A1, that beautiful L7A1 NATO weapon. But for all that, it's still pretty bloody solid. And its 2,700 DPM, while it's not special, is certainly good enough to get the job done. It's poor, but it's not bad in the scheme of things on the tier. Where it makes up for things, in my mind at the present, is the gun depression. It's got very nice gun depression, 10 degrees of gun depression, which isn't special at this tier. I'd certainly take the Cent 701 every day over the Type 61. But it's mobile and it has gun depression. Now, if you've watched my M10 video, you'd know that if you have those two things combined, you can quite often get away with a whole lot of other things that don't work, namely a complete lack of armor profile. And while I really can't recommend this tank as a strong tank, you can see from the gameplay that you can actually do all right with this vehicle. Its terrain resistance is reasonable for a medium of its tier. It's 1, 1.1 and 1.5. But it has very, very good traverse numbers. In fact, it's equal best at its tier in terms of traverse along with the T54. And it has an outstanding view range of 285 meters once you get the bells and whistles on it. And you can certainly extend that out past the norm to 313 meters of view range once you get the optics on it. And that's actually more valuable now because you don't have binoculars in the current meta. They just don't exist anymore. And you saw there how I kind of wound all over that map, ended up doing 2,500 damage and didn't take a whole lot of damage back. And I want to get back to this binoculars thing. The lack of binoculars in game has severely changed the way the game works. And I haven't talked about this for a while, but what it basically means is that you don't get the camping tanks at the back like the 61 used to be able to do, like what the Sense 701 could do, which could take a good view range like this and extend it by 25% while running a camo net, meaning they were able to see out to 330 odd meters of view range very, very comfortably. And that allowed them to basically stop tanks, to really make the gameplay stagnant and non-dynamic. What the view range changes have done, what the equipment changes have done, is they've prioritized and given a bonus to tanks with certain good characteristics. And the characteristics that the 61 brings to the table that it didn't previously really own it in is penetration. It's got very good penetration now. You can't just switch to high explosive anti-tank like the T-54 used to and run at 330mm of pen and not lose any damage. And in addition to that, it's also got outstanding view range. It's got best in class view range, which with the minusing of binoculars has been exceptional. And it's still got that 10 degrees of gun depression. And the gun works, and you can see here, I'm just working the ridges. It's very, very simple gameplay, but it works. Your dispersion is not crazy good. It's 0.326, which is pretty average, in fact, for a medium at this tier. But your aim time is good, 1.72 aim time. And you've got that further down if you can actually mount a vertical stabilizer on it, which I don't have, unfortunately. I didn't get to try it out with the full kit and caboodle. But I'm being so careful here with this tank because I don't have any armor. And the old thing that you've probably heard about light tanks and RU-251s and everything is play it like it has one hit point and you'll do fine. And that's exactly what I do with the 61. I play it like it has one hit point. I'm cautious with it. I conserve its hit point pool. I look for ridges to fight over. And I look for chances to exploit that gun depression, that penetration, and the lovely view range. And I can't emphasize enough how good the equipment changes have been overall. Some tanks lost out when the equipment changed to this 9 slot instead of the 3 slot, and they removed the other good stuff like binoculars and things, and camo net became less useful because now it's intertwined with optics, and optics just beat it like 9 times out of 10. It really does. Optics is just a better thing to run for just about everyone. And those changes have made the game more balanced. Whether you like this or not, it's just a fact. The game is more balanced now across more tanks and more tiers, and it made more tanks relevant because their basic stats like penetration became more valuable with the medium nerfs and with the nerf to premium ammunition's damage numbers. The base penetration of tanks like the 61 became more valuable. Let me put this in perspective. When a target like, say, a target has 220mm of armor, a T-54 will have to go to heat to penetrate that. The 61 doesn't. So the 54's DPM drops to 2,469 per minute. And the 61 stays at 2,710. That change is huge, and it's massive for a tank like the 61 that really needs every advantage it can get in the game to punch above its weight. You see we spot that 54 up, no problems. We get spotted, we pull back, and we're cautious. Very cautious, and I enjoyed playing it. I've got to be honest, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy playing it, but I did enjoy playing the tank. And it's like, I'm going to do a video on the M103, but I'll let this secret out of the bag, is I went looking for the M103 thinking it was going to be terrible, and it wasn't. It was still good. I'll get to the M103 another time, but I was really happy to go and play this tank. Now, I would not recommend this tank for everyone. You've heard me say that I play it like it's got one hit point, that I'm conservative with it. And I know before everyone starts whinging, and I get so much of this, Bushka says, you know, play from the back and snipe. I don't. And if you've watched my streams, I'm not playing from the back and sniping. What I tend to do is just not get in stupid positions. I still do not get the mindset that people are cowards. That is just such a bizarre thing. And people that carry on that not being at the front is a bad thing are just I want to play with you on the red team because you guys are the ones who get farmed the most. You honest to God don't know what you're doing when you're out there. If you are taking every tank and saying that it's bad because it's not being driven at the front, you're an idiot. Just write it on your forehead and stop playing the game. Certain tanks shouldn't be at the front line, or if they are, they should be there supporting other tanks or behind hard cover. And you're going to see me do that here. Like, I've gone to the flank. Our T32 was... sorry, not our T32. That was another game. I'll get to that one at the M103 vid. I'm just not giving myself up to easy hit points. And I've been at the front or near the front pretty much the whole time on that flank. And then in this situation here... and yet I'm constantly watching the mini-map and I'm conserving hit points and not giving anyone an opportunity to hit me. And I've played that way throughout the course of all 3 games, and I've been very successful. I've done over 2.5k damage in average, and I've won 3 out of 3. Remind me again why it's cowardice to actually play a tank in a manner that makes it do well. I just don't get it. And this is something that is particular not only to NA, but to all the servers I've ever played on. And it's a mindset, like I'm happy to say, oh, I'm just, anyone want to help, or where the hell are you guys? Like, if it's heavy tanks or a tank that can take damage or does best brawling or knife fighting. But if you're in a Type 61 or, you know, what else have we got in here? An M46 Patton or an FV4202, you're not always capable of taking damage. And there are obviously situations where you should be taking hit point damage rather than letting a teammate take that damage. But I did a video called Be the Vampire, and I stand by that. If you're in the right kind of tank, you absolutely have to do that. And that's what I said in the video. Like, if you're in a tank that doesn't have any hull armor, or if you're in a tank that doesn't have any armor at all, I mean, this thing has pennable all over frontally by a Chaffee. That's a tier 5 light tank. And yet, I had to cut out a whole heap of video here where I had a bloke spamming me with a few things. I was silly enough, I tried to give him a hand and tell him where he should have gone, and he responded exceptionally well. Anyway, I move onwards and upwards. Everyone's gone low here, and I'm doing another video just because I like talking. I played for a long time in this, actually. I think I actually had... How many games? I had 14 games in it, 64%, 2,000 average damage. And actually, no, I had 10 games in it today, a lot more than that. But they're the old games from back when I didn't like the tank. That YAG kind of got me stuck up there and I got smashed. There are so many ways to play this game, and there are so many ways to play different tanks. And if you watch the live streams that I play, sometimes I'm far too aggressive because I'm mucking around and just being a little bit silly. But quite often I play with Snake and we play seriously, and I play from the front in the right tank. There's an FV4202. He can't be visible and still have a... You know, if you're spotted in an FV and the light bulb goes off, you have to go, because there is literally nothing protecting your turret. It's crazy to actually stick there. But if you look at this map, they're all down the bottom. We've gone and capped B and C. We've had 2 very, very clever people who've capped B and C, while the rest of the team has done a great job holding them down the bottom. And we're going to lose those guys, but we've got 3 caps. Like, the guys went bottom and got the cap and have held it. And I'm just sniping. I'm doing what the T61 does. It snipes, and it does damage sniping, and it's just bloody lovely. I mean, I've got no problems with anyone driving this tank, standing off and doing their level best. When you get to the STB1, which is bloody glorious and a lovely tank to drive, you'll have a turret that can actually bounce some shots, and it's very low profile, and you can change up the playstyle and be more aggressive. And I absolutely am, and I adore that tank. I think it's a gorgeous tier 10 medium. There's so many great tanks at tier 10, isn't there? But look at this. I'm going to hide this one out. I'm just going to stop. The 4202 is going to have to come up to try and hit me, because we've got 2 caps left and we're going to win on a cap. So we're going to kill him, and then I'm just going to stay here, because you do what it takes to win. Whether it's doing 10 damage or 5,000 damage, you try and do what it takes to win. And that's what we needed to do to secure the victory. Just snipe at the top, protect the 2 caps, and make sure that the hit points the guys down the bottom sacrificed were not in vain. On Bushka and Blitz, I love you guys. There's a stream tomorrow, today actually. There's a stream today, and I'm going to be on it, and I hope you stick around for it. And I'm really enjoying the NA server. Lots of fun people, lots of cool people, and lots of fun games. Even if the ping is a little bit rampant. It dropped to 220 today. Look at that. Really, really good. Look after yourselves, and until next time, stay safe on the battlefield.